I spent almost 3 decades as a leader in the United States Army. We were trained how to lead people, but never taught how to talk about what leadership does to us, the leaders. And that silence might explain why so many leaders struggle when it's over. Hey, this is Four Titles, One Truth, and I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance. Today we're asking a question that sounds simple on the surface, but gets real complicated the longer you sit with it. What did leadership actually give us? Not on paper, not in rank, but over decades of leading people.
Hey, let's get into it.
All right, let's go.
So let me ask you, when you hear the question, what did leadership actually give you? What's the first thing that comes to mind, and why do you think that's what surfaced in your mind?
Confidence.
It gave you
Starting out,
confidence?
yeah. I had confidence, but it was when you're playing sports and you have like the teams and you doing some of that leadership type, you call it the
Right.
team leader, some of that, but it wasn't, I didn't feel it the way that I did when I really actually was in charge.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is like starting off in the military, you're not starting off in charge of truly in charge
Yeah.
of anybody. It's learning to be a good follower.
Yeah.
So that piece I had to learn, learning that piece and not and understanding that just because I had the rank
You're right.
doesn't mean that I knew everything or I was, necessarily going to be the leader in certain situations
Right.
because I didn't know. I didn't have the experience. So
Right. I'm talking about in the beginning.
in the beginning, in the beginning,
Yeah.
in the beginning, gave me confidence whenever I started actually leading.
Right.
But it also, leadership would give you a few. It gave me a few. It gave me fear.
Yeah.
Or I had fear with it just because.
Every step.
Yeah, it's like, am I making the right
Landmine.
decision on this? Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the higher in rank that you go, and the more leadership that you get, the bigger the scope of responsibility and people and money and all of those things that are
Lives.
visible. Yeah, lives, especially if you're dealing with the combat units, the front line units. But mine wasn't necessarily the lives of my people, but the lives of people who we were taking care of. Do you have the proper equipment? Are people following the standards how they're supposed to be, so that instruments and things that we're using are sterile, truly sterile, and we're not.
You're saving lives instead of killing people.
Yeah, we're not adding to the problem,
Right.
So leadership, it changed to me. It changes as far as what it's teaching, what it's given as you go up, and the more responsibility that you're incurring. It's a living thing.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a
absolutely.
living thing. So
Absolutely. Yeah, a forever evolving thing.
yeah.
So when I hear that question, my programmed response is that's selfish to think that way. Because as a leader, we're taught so much that it ain't about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's about the people you build, it's the team you build, and it's the accomplishment of the mission. And that has a lot to do with you on the face of it. But a good leader doesn't take that. They pass that off. For instance, yeah, I was there and
Not you.
helped corral
Yep.
them, but it was my team that actually got it done. That's that textbook professional answer. And so my automatic response was like, what leader would say more than that's selfish, that's not my role is to think that, but
But
that was the first thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you the why that's the first thought is because the reality of it is the leader of any element is going to win or lose.
Well, you're the head of the snake. I mean,
Well,
so you're going to be the
right.
responsible one.
And so everybody above you is holding you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody below you is either going to follow you or not follow you
Yep.
to mission accomplishment. That's a dangerous space to be, especially like you said, as the more rank you get, the bigger responsibility you get. But on the flip side, if I answer properly, there are a lot of other short phrases or bullets that I say before I say, it's exhausting. Leadership is frustrating.
It's stressful.
You know,
I mean, it's all, I was saying it's all of those things, but all of those things and things that you got from it is what made you
and continues to
to
grow.
evolve, make
Yeah,
you
help
a
grow.
leader.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah,
I know how you say it's like we don't ever take
credit.
Yeah, we don't ever take credit for the accomplishments that happen whenever we're in
Right.
charge or we're leading.
Right.
But all of the stuff that we get from that we've gotten or got for our from leadership is what made that mission
Credit.
successful. Yeah, but it's the credit that
so
you
it's
got.
credit
So
you get on your evaluations. It's credit you get on the pats on the back. It's credit you get on seeing your soldiers evolve and become
the
something.
jobs that you get.
Yeah.
I mean, because we say that the people above us are holding us. Well, they held us accountable, but they also said, "Oh,
Good job.
that's who I want leading this group." And those jobs got bigger and they got harder,
Right.
and that was because I can tell you, I don't think I ever said that. Somebody that wasn't a good leader said, "Hey, I need you to go take charge of this," because that was.
Well, it just depends on where you are because sometimes you don't always get talent. You know what I'm saying?
No, well,
you don't always get
that,
capable,
and
capable
but
people.
that's the beauty of the thing of being in. That's what I felt. The beauty of being in the military is that we weren't in an organization where we got to a spot and we had that same group of individuals for 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, where you could actually sit there and mold and feed and make them the best. We would get somebody for 2 years, 3 years. And then sometimes right when they were getting good, they were going off to the next
on their way,
thing, or you get somebody in that's just doesn't get it. But it's like, oh my God, what am I? And it's not enough to fire them, but it's also it's killing. It's killing you because it makes you stay in a place where you don't need to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's that's another thing too that also helps you grow as a leader, because it's like, okay, what do I have to do to get this person up to the standard that I think that I need to be? But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Adapt and overcome is real. Yeah. It's not good leadership to brag about everything you did to make anything successful. But at the same time, every leader knows that you need to know what you're doing so that you can get those results, so that you can get credit for them, either in the office or either on paper. So that's all, man.
So early in your career, Tommie, what do you think really drove you to want to be a good leader? All right. And was it service, validation, responsibility, or fear of failure? Or was it just something else?
Well, I mean, I want to be truthful, but I don't want at all to be misleading to anyone. I say it like this because my early goals to be a leader had nothing to do with leadership manuals. It clearly had to do with me gaining as much knowledge as I can so that I can get the opportunity to show everybody else,
I'm the man.
See how good I am.
Yeah,
See how
that's
good
what I
I
do.
am. You know. And so that was me, man. Like, if anybody knows me from back then, they know for a fact that I was an athlete and I was stubborn, and I was very confident in my abilities. And a lot of people called it arrogance or whatever, but I never really took it to arrogance, because in my mind, right, and my deeper definition of arrogance is you basically not realizing that you're not as good as you think you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or not as that you're better than you think you are, right? So arrogance doesn't leave you that ability to learn and fail and get back up, because arrogance, that's a thin line you're walking, and if you fall off that, you can lose your confidence. If you fall off that,
Yep.
you'll never be the leader that you thought you were. So there's a whole bunch that goes into that for me.
Yeah.
So I don't. Early on, it was not about anything but proving that I'm the best, and that's why I say it's one thing to. And the reason I can say it so loud now is because I figured that out, that was a problem with me, still a problem with me, but through therapy and age and experience, I've eroded some of those focused channels that I used to stay in when it came to leadership. Because I'm telling you, man, it took me forever to stop judging people based off of my standards.
Right.
And I'm talking from PT to being able to do training, from being able to excel, being able to speak properly, to be heard, and just all that stuff. It was about me finding I had a little bit of talent, finding I had a lot of capability.
But that's when you were younger.
Yes.
I mean, and I think that's and I think that when you say, being arrogant and I think all leaders,
absolutely,
all good leaders are arrogant. Even as you get older,
yeah. So
you still have to have
an
an air.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You still have to have a little bit
right,
of that,
right.
In order to,
I agree, and that.
Come on now, sit down and listen to. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just that when you're younger, that's just. I mean, and luckily when we're younger, we don't get those big jobs, so we can be. I mean,
we can fail small.
Yeah, we can fail small, and the thing that saves us, or which we hope saves us, is we have a leader above us that'll say, sit down,
or a mentor,
let me tell you, or a mentor that'll say,
pull you
come
to
here,
the
let me tell you
side
something,
and soften those hearts.
Yeah, so then we just have to be able to, listen to those things. But I mean, I know I can tell you, mine, I was fear of failure. Because I didn't want to fail, and
see, that wasn't even a thing I even considered.
Oh man, I mean, I was starting
early.
Oh,
later on, that was a huge driving force for me, but early, there was nothing that I did not think I could do early.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine was learn. I mean, so I'm learning how to do a new job, a new profession.
Right.
Well, I mean, I went to
From
school
wrestler
for
to
it.
nurse. I get it.
Went to school, learned all that.
Yeah.
So then I'm learning to be a nurse, and it's like nursing ain't it's not easy. It's different situations. It's different types of nursing that
and
you're
making
doing.
weight don't matter.
No, hell no. Ain't no. I have to worry about making weight. I have to worry about counting calories. None of that stuff. But you do though, because we still have to work out and stuff. Okay,
but your head's in the books.
Yeah. So between that and then actually. You're getting to be in charge of like a shift or something like that. So learning those things,
crawl, walk, run.
Yeah, with people that have some specialists and sergeants that you're a new lieutenant. You're supposed to be over them, but these kids have been doing this stuff for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and they know they've been working in that area, whatever, for a lot longer than you in there doing some of the stuff. So it's being able to lead, but also take some direction from them. Like I wasn't good at doing IVs when I first started. I was horrible, blowing veins up, poof, 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 blowing them up. So I mean, but we had some specialists and even some privates in there that would, just threading those needles in. Yeah. So I mean, so it's so I had a little bit of fear of failure. but it was my response. I mean, me being who I was, being a male, being a black male, coming from
A
the
Taylor.
that's right. I mean, it
No,
was.
I
I
get
felt
it.
like it was my responsibility because I knew
To
that I
represent.
mean, yeah, I could see my. I mean, knew what my father did, and he was a leader in his area where he worked in
Right.
that education thing. So I was like, I know I can. You know,
Yeah.
I know I'm
I
gonna do
have
this.
to.
Can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. You know,
Yeah.
have
And
to
your mom.
succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just. It was one of those. Like it just. It's like it was just a. It was a multiple of things,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I was afraid at first because I didn't want to hurt anybody, didn't want to hurt any patients, but I also didn't want to look
Yeah.
stupid,
Yeah.
you know, because I had that air of, I mean, same as you, I was arrogant. I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
I was an athlete. I was, you know, the man. I'm in the newspaper. And it's like,
Got
yeah,
your
that
band.
ain't how it is right now.
Your band music following you.
Yeah, you know, your theme music.
Yeah, you
That's what I
go
said.
theme music.
Theme music as you're walking
My
down the
bad.
hallway. Yeah, but yeah, it was but most definitely, man, I was at the in the beginning, it was fear that that drove, and then you know, but that fear, as the knowledge of actually knowing what I was doing, being confident in what I was doing, and knowing that I'm making the right decisions, and knowing that I did have a good base and understanding of what leadership was, which was with my ROTC training, which was
And you're a good person.
awesome. Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people
Yep.
understand how valuable
Yeah,
that is.
I mean, and I had a good sense of
That's
this
why,
right and wrong.
yeah,
I mean,
with your
just it's
parent, yeah.
because leadership, it's a lot of it's base. It's a lot of it is basic. You just have to apply it to the situation and
Yeah.
environment that you're
Yeah.
that you're
And your
in. So,
knowledge, yeah.
yep.
And so for me, it's, I said it wasn't because I wanted to be the validated as a leader and all that stuff, but it was literally, and I'm gonna be very basic here. Be a good follower so you can be a good leader. I think that's sort of misleading sometimes, right? And I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay. Explain it to me.
We
please.
talked about leadership. You are a leader the moment you walk into the military. But your area
We're expected to be.
No, you're a leader because your area of responsibility starts off with you, right? It starts off with you making sure you show up on time, you making sure you're physically fit, you make sure. Of course, you got way more help than you'll ever have later on down the line, but being a leader initially in the military, you're focused on gaining yourself the discipline that you need, gaining yourself the knowledge you need, and all that stuff. And the reason I say it like that, because if you go into the military thinking that way, you'll succeed faster than most, because you're not waiting to be taught. You're not waiting to be checked. You're not waiting to be told what to do. You're going into a situation, and I'm talking as an E1 private. You're leaving advanced individual training, which is right after basic training, where you've got to learn your military occupational skills, which is your MOS. And so your expectation going to that unit from everybody above you is, I hope they're decent and they can survive. That's all they got on you, because you're coming in as a private.
Okay.
And no matter what type of private, how you look as a private is a private is a private, period, right? So if you can go into the mindset, and this is what I had a little bit of advantage on when I joined, the fitness didn't bother me. So I wasn't exhausted when I'm sitting in classes. I wasn't overdoing it trying to prove a point. I came off the street in very good shape, right? So I learned early on that being in shape opens a lot of doors. And I mean, talking about your ears, your eyes, everything. And so my definition is leading myself so that I could become a competent piece. So that's formally now how I would describe it. Then it was, I'm a Jones. I gotta get myself right. I can't let my dad down. I can't be a disappointment. I can't fail. All this stuff. So that was my drive early on, to make myself as good as possible. Then, I got a little swagger here, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty good at this, I can do basic stuff, and I can take it a step further. Started going to promotion boards, soldier of the month boards, and all that stuff. And so now I had an understanding, and this is why I say I fit in the military, because nobody taught me this, the path I chose to take. Because I don't know about you, but if mentors aren't strong enough for their subordinates or for their mentees, they will not try to mentor them, right? So if I see Second Lieutenant Taylor walking around with his theme music behind him, and then I see him in certain situations, and even if he's a little off, the Joker knows what he's doing, competent and capable, right? Because those are the two C's I always focused on. If I can identify that, if I don't have enough confidence in myself, why would I even step to you to try to lead you? Because I don't want to be embarrassed, especially if I think maybe this Joker he may know a little bit more than me or whatever, so there's all of those factors in there. And I am not saying that all leaders in the military are confident and strong and alphas. And I'm not saying the opposite either. I'm saying we're human. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has a personality that they take on or have because of the environment they came from. Because my dad was a lean forward guy. And he didn't teach me Army stuff because he wasn't in the Army.
Right.
But he absolutely taught me about strength of a man, gave me an example of a man carrying the weight on his shoulders, but still being able to smile and have fun and joke around sometimes, but he was locked in most of the time. And then he had the respect of everybody. So those were my drive. That was my drive early on. Just not a fear of maybe I won't fail, but it was a need I had to show everybody how good I am. You know what I'm saying? And that's another therapy session right there. But I'm just trying to be as honest as I can in the beginning. And I went down the mentor path because not a lot of leaders that outranked me really tried to mentor me. You know what I'm saying? Because coming off the street because of what my family, my mom and dad gave me when it came to discipline, I knew how to shut up. I knew how to follow instructions, and I also knew what I was good at, right? And that doesn't mean I was squared away, because in my mind, I would have been 4 years of college and then playing ball and then in the league somewhere, right? So I'm admitting that I've made many a mistake, but a lot of men won't lean into someone who could either A, not be receptive of what they're trying to say, or B, they may see them as a potential threat for later on in their career when it comes to progression and all that, because there are gatekeepers everywhere you go. Okay. And so it was my experiences that put me in that mindset.
Okay.
And that mindset had its advantages. Because I was that private that you could leave, go somewhere, and before I start acting up, because I love to have a good time, I'm going to make sure my stuff's done, because I want to be able to hear that daggone squad leader or assistant squad leader come back and say, that's what I'm talking about, Jones. You know what I'm saying? Those little things right there, it always kept me like, yeah, I'm on my path. I'm on the path, And then at the same time, if I thought something was unjust as a private, which is stupid anyway. But if I thought something was wrong, I would ask questions that people normally wouldn't ask at my rank, and also what leaders didn't want to hear. Shut up and do it. You know what I'm saying? And so those are the things which it does for everybody, if everybody admits it, is the way you come up is how you lead. And if you don't have a strong basis, I'm talking about, like you said, family. I'm talking about your religion. I'm talking about, whatever is adding the most to your character. If you don't have a strong base for that, and then you are intentionally trying to be a good person and put people in good position, if you don't have that, then that's why people don't get promoted. That's why some people don't make it to certain levels and all that, because they can't find that stability they need from whatever. But I wish I would have had some more mentors in my career that were strong enough to check me at the times when I was at my most confident, to keep me from, because you have paths you can choose, right?
So you didn't have nobody to say, hey, that's good, but...
I had a couple that I ran into, but there was nobody pulling me up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There was nobody that said,
Let's get you here.
Lieutenant Taylor, I think you got what it takes, So we're going to stay in touch, and I'm going to give you everything you need to reach what you can, right? And then that's them having conversations with you about leadership, focusing with you on the challenges of, for in your case, of being a nurse and all that. Somebody that you could automatically pick up the phone and they could give you or lead you to an answer that's going to be beneficial for you in the military. You know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't get that. So let me ask you, how did you personally define a good leader early? I'm talking about first and second lieutenant, maybe young captain there. And then how much of that definition came from mentors versus your own experience with bad leadership?
Yeah, I really didn't have I didn't have mentors. I wasn't seeking out mentors. Especially on the officer side, I wasn't. I mean, on the enlisted side, I had when I first got to my first duty assignment, E7, Sergeant Riles. He was Sergeant First Class. He was the NCOIC. Ended up being a command sergeant major and doing all of that good stuff. But he brought me, he would say, hey, as far as like keeping in shape, as far as like, around the soldiers. I mean, just teaching me the Army,
right, the
Army
way.
stuff. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, it wasn't trying to teach me. Nursing stuff, because nursing stuff is I knew it. I just needed to have time in it to learn it, to get confident in it that way. But the Army stuff is like I thought I knew it. But you don't know it until you actually get into it, and it's the live thing.
Just like marching.
Yeah, all of that good stuff. But I would say that a lot of my definition as far as defining a good leader is just like somebody that was fair, somebody that was spreading the wealth, as far as like, why am I always on call? Why am I always on this thing? Or, a leader that could explain what was, because I was much like you, where it's like if something didn't make sense to me, I'd be like, why are we, and instead of being labeled the troublemaker or the asshole for questioning somebody. It's like, I'm not questioning. I just want to understand it better so that I can flow into it, and not just something where it's like, because I hated that, because I said so. Yeah. Okay, because you said so.
And you want me to accomplish this with confidence.
Right.
But you ain't going to explain it to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess my version of a good leader, bad leader, it was just through experience. I mean, it was through one of those, through my own experience, through experience of experiences that my wife was having, because I could see because she had some good leaders. And I was like, man, I ain't never had nobody, try to bring me up like that.
Somebody talk to me.
That's right. And nobody set me down and brought me back and told me that. But I mean, and I was lucky enough that I had my wife and had other friends. Right. I guess that was the mentoring chain or information chain that I could have, where I could call a friend and be like, hey man, does this sound right? Even though it's like we're either same rank or somebody that's a rank ahead or something, but it's like, shit, at least I had an idea of that. And then just having a solid base where it wasn't military, but it was either family or friends or people who I knew who I considered and I knew were successful, people that were leaders or people that were in charge of organizations or companies or what, that I would be like, okay, they not acting like, and yeah. So I mean, and you have to have a good. I mean, you if something is not right. If you know the difference between right and wrong, you can tell what.
You don't have a lot of learning to do.
Yeah, it's not super hard. It's just as far as how you're treating people and what's to be expected. Because I know a lot of folks, my father would say, treat folks how you want to be treated. And he said everything else will play itself out. Because again, you're going to be in different situations, and you got to be able to. He said, so if you don't think that you could, you don't feel like you would want to be treated that manner or something that you wouldn't do, how you gonna ask somebody else to do it.
Fix
If
your
you,
face to ask
yeah.
somebody. Yeah.
So,
No, I get it. The definition of a good leader early on was somebody that could beat me or something.
mm,
You know, their physical fitness score was higher than mine.
okay.
You know, they were Audie Murphy. They were NCO of the year, stuff like that. You know, that was the mark on the wall for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up, if I look back on most of the squad leaders I had, there are a couple that stand out. There are a couple that had an impact, but there were not a lot of them that were purposely focused on being the best squad leader to me.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that they weren't good people or whatever. It just meant that the expectation of what I thought a squad leader was, from what the Army tells you, from going through all these leadership regulations and defining what the rank is, the expectation as a squad leader specifically, it covers basically the private is the clay and the squad leader is the molder of that clay, which turns them into what the Army needs them, right? Mm-hmm. You can take it down to even further to tell you it molds you into what the squad needs you to be, what the platoon needs you to be, what the company needs you to be, all that stuff, right? And I didn't, through my heavily tinted lenses, didn't see that a lot there. But when I saw somebody that I thought was, squared away, looking, carried themselves a certain way, spoke with confidence, spoke not just with confidence, but with intellect, those are the people I was more likely to listen to, because that's how I saw myself being and becoming.
Okay.
Right? That don't always mean you're a good leader if you have certain characteristics. So over the years, it evolved and changed. And even when I was a squad leader, there were times when squad leader, section sergeant, or whatever, I had to stop myself from being what other squad leaders were, because I wasn't being as focused on developing and so forth. Like I said, I was still, especially as a young E5, Sergeant E5, I was still in that mindset of I'm the standard. I'm in the military. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I was greater than the military. I'm just saying the Army standards were kind of low, and the reason you say they're kind of low is because there's a minimum, right? You just talk about the fitness test. There's a minimum score that in each category that you can't go below. And then according to the Army, if you go equal to or 1 point higher, you're a success in the military. Mm-hmm. But that has to be broken down even further, because a minimal success does not turn into sergeant major. A minimal success does not turn into a full-bird colonel. You know what I'm saying? And so you're taught out the box to be better, you be the best, go beyond the standard. And then you get so caught up in that, I began to think that that's the way I should teach and mentor and develop. And it was not. It's good for those people who have the abilities to stay up. Mm-hmm. It's horrible for those people who were told they had to meet the standard, and now all of a sudden you got this jackass telling them, hey, the minimums, that ain't even good. It's not even okay, because the minimum's not going to bring you into this world. I need you to be beyond the standard, beyond the best that you could be. And it's a great talk, but it's not a real good reality.
Okay.
If that makes sense, what I'm saying. Because I went all over the place. I know I did.
What did leadership quietly take from you that you didn't fully recognize at the time?
I just think maturity in life versus maturity as a leader. And I don't think that the Army took that from me, or the Army was on a mission to hold me down or whatever. I just really think that my priorities were Army first. Mm-hmm. And when your priorities are clearly defined of what's first, that's what shapes you. That's what defines you. And that's what that voice sitting on his shoulder becomes the representative of, right? So if you're doing things like cheating on a girl, right? and it's not messing with your military job, who's holding you accountable for that? It ain't the Army.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? But that just leads to a misunderstanding of it ain't okay to break people's hearts. It ain't okay to be
Nah.
a jerk. You know what I'm
Nah.
saying?
That don't
But
give you the right to be.
not at all. But at the same time, and just as real as I can be, I wasn't focused on being the best person I could be. I was focused on being the best soldier I could be, the best leader I could be. And that slowed down my maturity on in my personal life. And this is only something that I've had a revelation of, since I started therapy and being out of the military.
Right.
And the reason it still sticks with me is because there were a lot of soldiers that I came in contact with as a young soldier and a young leader that I didn't even really give them a chance to be great because my assumption of them, right, which
They
is
wasn't
what I'm
ticking all
supposed
of
to
your
do.
boxes.
Not at all. Not at all. And that is what a leader's supposed to do, but it ain't supposed to be my box and my box alone. It's supposed to be, like you said before, I'm trying to get you here. If you're here and I can validate that, then it's time to go further. Instead of here is failing, buddy. I need you here. There's ways you can talk and convince people of doing that. So my thing is my adult and male maturity as a person versus my adult and male maturity as a soldier and a leader. Because I was two different people. There were people that would say they don't even recognize me. Because when I'm on the court, I'm free. I'm talking smack to everybody, doing all that stuff. So I've evolved because I finally learned to evolve. But I do feel that there were soldiers that you're never supposed to leave a soldier behind. And I think there were times where I didn't focus enough on the soldiers that so-called didn't fit in my idea
Bubble.
of excellence, and and it was and I'll tell you, I feel bad about it. I also understand that I always wanted you to show me effort. That was the main thing. If you couldn't show me effort, then I didn't have time for you, And if you didn't want to be great, then why
am I wasting my
what are we
time?
doing here? Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, this is difficult for me because I don't know it took time. I guess it took time away from me when I look back at the career.
A whole family.
Yeah, it took time away from family at certain things which I wasn't paying attention to in the situation just because it's like, well, I need to do this. This is for job. So it had to be. It took time, and then at the end, it was taking some of my health away. Yeah. So, but but in the beginning and throughout it, it's just chipping away at. It's like because I look back at things sometimes, like, man, I should have done this with the kids more. Maybe they would have been a little bit more athletic or something. Maybe they would have liked this particular thing a little more if I would have took the time and said, "Don't worry about that. Yeah. It's gonna be okay. Let's go over here and do this." So just taking time away from my kids and
personal life,
family. Yeah. So
I get it.
Yeah.
Do you think you were able to appreciate the impact you were having while you were still leading, or is that something that only became clear after you were done?
No, I did.
You were.
I did. Yeah. Like I said, especially coming to the tail end, or not even tail end, the last 14, 15 years after the halfway point, I guess. Because then because I had been to a lot of different bases, been in charge of different things, been in contact and with a lot of different groups and folks and things, and then we start getting phone calls back, or you start getting the jobs when people want you to come back, or you get soldiers that are officers that work with you 2 assignments ago, and they back with you, and they're happy to be back and looking forward to, knew that they were coming back to coming to a place, and you were there in charge, and it's like I was looking forward to coming back here, because I really enjoy so getting that piece of it, and then just that's from that group, but just getting the jobs. It's like, hey, we want you to go here, or we really need you to do this job here, because I felt like I started being like a fixer.
Yeah.
Like if something was jacked, it's like, okay, send Taylor there. He'll get, which it was one of those good and bad things where it was like I didn't feel like I could get the jobs that I necessarily wanted,
Right.
because it was like we can't send anybody else there because we need you to go there and try to fix that, get it right again, and then me doing that is taking me away from going to do the job, but it was like, okay, yep, no problem. But so that's probably what I would say. No, I mean, I knew before the impact that I was having before I got out.
Wait. Yeah.
No, I didn't. No.
So I had the opportunity to actually work in jobs to where, because of what you said, on average, you're only at a duty station 2 years, 2.5 years. This is when we were coming up, and there were a lot of people during our time that were at duty stations way longer than that, And so I was able to be a drill sergeant. I was able to be an instructor, and have the ability to introduce and teach, and then see the results of that. You know what I'm saying? So that was something that I was able to appreciate at the time. Like, for instance, being a drill sergeant, every 9 weeks.
So you touching a lot of
and when people walk in, because you got to think about 260 per rotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got people walking overweight, you got people walking in old, you got people walking in out of shape. There's all those types, and so you have the ability as a drill sergeant to meet them on that first day, and then know that how much you contribute to these soldiers will depend how well prepared they are for the Army. And I took that so seriously, man. And being able to see soldiers when their families come and they were literally cut in half by body weight, or for moms to see their sons and say, cry because they look like a man now, and when I say man, they had more confidence than they had when they came in, and they knew they had learned some stuff, which made them different. So that drill sergeant thing is like, you act like you don't want to be bothered with the private coming up telling you thank you, whatever, or reaching out to you years earlier or later and telling you. I had a soldier I ran into in Iraq. The joker was a staff sergeant. I was the E8. That joker locked up. Say, I don't know if you know, but you were my drill sergeant. I was like, hey. And the sad part is you can't remember all them people.
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah, but I did have the opportunity to see. We'll just say, I've been saying a lot, crawl, walk, run, and see the beginning and then see the results.
Yep.
And then being a first sergeant, you're not just able to affect and adjust individuals, but you're turning the respect of a company around, or turning it around the wrong way. So there's a little bit of seeing the results of what you do, but it's definitely more long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing, though. Yeah. I mean, if you can see it while you're doing it, I think it helps to validate that I'm doing the right thing. 100%. I mean, and it just it motivates. I mean, and
that's the whole point.
Depending on what type of leader you are, it also helps. I mean, it's just like one of those things. It's like I'm doing it. Okay. Makes you want to go do it, and even go in harder to help out. See how you can get better. Because it was always. I'll tell you, I always felt like I always wanted to improve. I always knew that I could get. I know I could be better. I mean, it was just. I knew I could do.
Was it for you?
No, it was. I mean, no, because I was getting. Because the way that I felt was, if I can make these folks successful in my department or whatever, the people that work for me, So.
And
I just enjoyed that part of helping to help somebody grow and just
see the light.
yeah.
That's what.
Oh
That's why I
man.
was like that early return from basic training and then first sergeant. Sergeant major, it's a different world.
Yeah.
You know, your impact is so huge at moments that you may never ever get to see the person that you, because there's so, oh my God, being a sergeant major, one of the busiest things that ever happened with me was sitting down with young officers wanting to come talk to you, or pick your brain for a little bit. And that was always a great conversation I wanted to have, but you never really know the results of
What
if they change, if they took what you said, if they changed, and then if it benefited them in the Army. So the long-term things are, I mean, it still happens now. Every once in a while you get an email out of the blue, you're like, oh wow, people reconnecting on social media and stuff like that. So yes, it's valuable, but leadership, man, that's what it goes back to what the question is. What do you get from leadership? What has leadership done for us? It depends on what the whole time you were looking for. You know what I'm saying? If you buy into the so-called textbook way of leadership and how leadership should react to the success of their element and their subordinates, it's basically don't react, just keep pushing, doing what you're doing. Because, yeah, like you said, it will take care of yourself. But sometimes it doesn't take care of you. Because sometimes if you don't put enough you in a situation, you never really get recognized. Because maybe it was the team. So there's. I'm not saying that that's what you take into consideration. I'm saying that's what's out there, and you have to learn to figure out what is, just like I had to learn to figure out what was white noise, stuff that didn't matter but could help, or what was something that I really need to pay attention to, adjust, and adapt so that I can become a better leader.
So on paper, both of us would be considered successful leaders. Internally, though, did leadership always feel like success while you were living it? Why you think? Why or why not?
So this is where I started, and it's hopefully what I've been saying is going to make sense now. When you're a young non-commissioned officer in a line unit that is combat forward, right? You bust your butt to make sure that your soldiers are ready, but you still have to answer to so many people. My belief growing up was the more rank I made, the less bull crap I had to deal with, and I'd be able to focus on the mission, focus on the soldiers. And that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong, because you have such a huge effect as you advance in leadership, but you hardly have the time to really be as effective as you want to be, because, and I've explained my day to plenty of people, especially as a sergeant major. I probably, on a 5-day work week, I probably got to sit down with everybody on my staff on average maybe an hour out of those 5 days. You know what I'm saying? Quick hit meetings, one-on-ones, that's different. But to sit down with my entire
group.
staff, yeah, that's why I say staff instead of complete element. But there's not enough time in a day to sit down with your people, your immediate people, and then also meet the requirements and the demands of everybody else that you're working with and for, because that takes all the time. And then when you finish with that, you got your primary boss who has what they want to do. Me as a sergeant major, I'm talking as a senior staff. I'm talking as the G4 sergeant major, and my boss was a full bird. And then when I start my day, it starts off me and him talking in the office a little bit. That's the person I end up spending the most time with. Then until my section meeting, my staff meeting, it's me trying to catch up on emails and so forth and like that. And then knock on the doors, right? But
About
they,
when you were a sergeant major.
yeah, when I
Yeah.
was talking about, yeah, and I will tell you, if my door is shut, they knew not to knock. But anyway, then you have your section meeting. Then you have your bigger meeting, whatever you want to call it. We'll say the staff's meeting. Then you have your meeting with the CG and with the command sergeant major for the division. And then you have to go over here to, well, at that time, we're talking 8th Army,
Mm-hmm.
which is another star hire with two more people you got to pay attention to, and then their host that, you know. And so by the time you're finished with the day, most of your people may not even gotten to see you because you're out doing something. And this, I'm not even talking about partying and trying to hang out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about trying to do your job. And the reason I sort of explained that is because the frustrating part for me with the more rank I got, it was the harder it was to do your job because there's so many people that aren't even trying to understand what you do, but they just want to stand on the daggone stage and say, hey, this is what I want, make it happen. And it's
Right.
just so much fighting, and there's so many times you got to compromise what's best for you and your section for the bigger picture. And
Yeah.
it's impossible to explain that to somebody who has no idea of strategic thinking, you know, because you're still stuck in the squad leader, platoon sergeant, company level way of thinking. And it's just,
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
that's what I mean.
Man.
I don't know if people understand that, you know, the bigger the job, the harder it is. Really, I mean,
didn't-
because you
I
were just
didn't.
talking about your situation where it was like you would meeting.
Yeah.
It was the same way, so that you don't. I mean, for me, because it was like, okay, we get there early and try to do a walk around at least so I could see
To know what you
folks and see if I could catch people to say, hey, what do you need? What, you know, shoot me email or call, you know, if you need something, let some, you know, so that I can see what I can do. But just trying to be effective in your area, you know, in my area, not be at this meeting or have to go to this meeting where you're listening to stuff where it's like, well, if I could be back at my place, maybe I could do something, or
this
you try to
wouldn't
get,
even be a conversation
if you
you'd
could
let
get,
me do what I was supposed to be doing.
exactly, or get
Yeah.
answers for things. But it's just like it's difficult to try to touch everybody and to get everything and get answers for everybody and everything. Because I used to always tell folks, man, I was like, hey, look, this is what we're doing, and I would always explain why we were doing it, and I would always tell them, you know, I said, you might not like it, but this is how we're gonna do it. Feeling successful all the time, it didn't always feel successful, because it was always like, okay, what do people need, or what do we need to do, or asking for things that we need in order to be successful, and going down that
you know you need to be successful.
and going down that rabbit hole of, we don't have money, we don't have, and then it's like, okay, then help me to explain, you know, help me to formulate an answer to my people as to why we can't do this. And, you know, then you get the answer, well, you're a colonel, you should be able to. It's like, yeah, and I'm telling you what what is required in order to truly, to truly make this mission 100% that you want it to be, you know. So no, it didn't always feel like success. I mean, it's, I tell you, it's more times you feel like, man, I mean, you question. That's why I felt like I would question. It's like, was that the right decision for that, or should I have fought more? Then, you know, but you're going to always do that, because most folks, you want to do, you want the best for your people. You want the best for your area, your section, you know, and being in the hospital, you want the best for your patients. Yeah. So if you feel like you're not equipped with what is absolutely necessary to give the best experience, the best care to those patients and stuff, and it's like, this is ridiculous, this is dangerous, or I can't do this. So you always feel like you're not, you know, that your people are, because you want your people to be prepared as much, you know, to the tip top all the way through. And it's like, you always questions like, man, did I give them enough time to do this, to get ready? Did I provide them with all of the right material, the proper material in order to carry this out and make sure it trickles down the line. Because it's like we're always, we were always trying to, because we couldn't go down and we weren't going down and doing the jobs, but we had people that were in charge of those different sections and areas and stuff that we would have to get the
Try to.
try
So
to
you don't have to.
right try
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to motivate them, get them to understand, get them to get the message out of what's needed and what should be done to the people. I mean, so it's a trickle down effect when you
But that's the thing. So the first thing that comes to mind when I hear leader, it's taking care of your people.
mm-hmm.
It's amazing how many times you are forced to compromise your ability to take care of your people because of the interference that's you run into.
Yep.
And I'm talking, and it's not the compromise because you're selling out or whatever. It's just the compromise that mission is first.
Mm-hmm.
Mission is first. Directly underneath that is take care of your soldiers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so there are times when you can't sit and talk to your soldier because you have to compromise that time so you can go and execute something that'll keep the daggone ceiling from falling in on your people. That's the frustration that I talk about, and that's what this conversation does. What does leadership give you back? It doesn't give you a sense of accomplishment all the time because you don't always accomplish what you want to.
Well, you don't feel. I mean, especially if I'll say you're a perfectionist, or you
You're trying to take care of
you're just trying to. Your idea of what the best is might not be, or it might be more than what is actually required.
Because I believe that most of the time, and I'm not talking about me, but most of the time, leaders know what's best for their people.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't always get there. You can't, whether it's because of money, whether it's because of
the situation.
And
freaking
commander that's over you,
Yeah. I mean, and that's where we have to be flexible to the situation, and we need to change up or flex how we do our different, your leadership style or the situation. But that's where you also can rise up too, as far as when you see whatever the situation is, and then you start maneuvering those pieces.
But that's
to
where
get
that
you to
maturity, that's where that maturity and leadership comes from.
Yeah.
And that's also where there's a few things I always believed for me as a leader. I could never compromise myself, meaning not be true to who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing was I always had to make sure that everyone knew I was competent and capable, because those were two C's that drove me like so much in the military. I know for a fact that I've helped people out of situations. I know for a fact that the way I carried myself and represented had a positive effect on a lot of people. I'm not going to say everybody. And then I also say that I know that no matter what, my intentions were good, right? And so it goes back to your confidence is what's going to allow you to, and maturity is what's going to allow you to clearly see the benefits of being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. The reward of being a leader and successfully retaring anywhere is the fact that you successfully retired and still was able to achieve.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I know the one thing that you want folks to, especially young leaders too, is that to understand is that you're not going to be everybody's cup of soup. Yeah. Everybody's not going to like you, regardless of what you do.
But you also can't go into a situation feeling like that.
You don't have to feel like it, but you need to realize it and know, and not let that affect you to the point that you can't do your job.
Or you walk around being an asshole. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take that and say, I can accept people don't like me, but that doesn't mean my intent's going to change. That doesn't mean. But there are people that
you don't change. Yeah, you don't change how you don't, just because folks don't like you or care for how you do. You don't change how you
if
lead.
you
Yeah, unless
are
you're
a good
doing
person,
something
and
that
if
is.
you, yeah, if you, yes, there's a bunch of ifs to all this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it here.
Okay.
If leadership could only give you one thing in the end, what do you believe it gave you, and was it worth what it cost?
Sure it was. I got to retire and I got my
And you ain't broke.
rank. Yeah, I mean,
Families together.
I mean, I felt like it I mean, I felt fulfilled whenever because I felt like I was a decent leader, good leader, and I felt like I helped folks out as much as I could. And I felt like it made me it made me made me a better person,
Yeah.
a more understanding, a
Agreed.
better person to deal with, dealing with people, dealing with different races, different. Because I'm interacting with everybody. I mean, it made me a better person. I just say it. It made me
It set you up to be a
yeah,
better person.
yeah, it made me a
Still had
better
to
person.
Take that step.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people don't take that step. We're finding
yeah.
out.
I mean, and it was worth it. I mean, it was worth it in the end because I'm here still, and I can still show my face to folks that I used to work for, work with, and
that pride. On
be
what you did.
proud. Yeah.
So I'm the same. It's the confidence that sometimes I didn't go down the path that others may have gone, but looking back, I can honestly feel like, and this is the calming point for me, especially when it comes to military, being out of the military. The calming point for me is I know for a fact that I gave all I could. Could I have given more? That's like asking if you could run 1,000 miles.
But,
And
I mean,
could you
that's
run 1,000
yeah,
in 10
that's
feet?
trying to
You know what
write
I'm saying?
the script over, and I mean, it's like, oh man, because it's just different situations that you run into, and at that time, I felt like this was the best decision I could have made for it. I mean, because you can always go back and second guess everything. I mean, but
that's the thing, though, and I've always felt that if you have good intentions, then success is right around the corner. You know, the only thing that stops you from success is your inability to match your energy and drive versus what your dreams and goals are. You know what I'm saying? And so my takeaway, I am calmer now than I would have been if I would have left the military feeling like I didn't give everything that I gave. And so I think that's something I accept, and and I hope this comes out right. That's why I'm just going to say it. That's why I hope it comes out right.
I'm going to let you know if it does.
Okay, appreciate that. But when I joined the military, it was not to be the leader. When I joined the military, it was an end. There was an end point there. I joined the military to get out of the situation I was in.
It was a means to an end.
Means to an end. I couldn't think of that to save my life. It was a means to an end. Even if it was short term. Joined the military because it was going to get me back on the path of success. That's how I saw it. I stayed in the military because the path I was on, I saw the road get brighter and wider.
So another path for success, not the one that you thought that you were going to see.
The path of the military started to get wider and brighter and easier to follow because, once again, I fit and I had the energy to try to be as good as I possibly could be. And then when you start making rank, you start to see that other people see your capability and your competence, right? Because I never wanted to leave anyone. When I was a non-commissioned officer, I never wanted to walk away with them saying nothing like, well, oh, that's a non-commissioned officer right there. You know what I'm saying? That's what they write about when they talk about these daggone regulations or identify what this rank is or these creeds. This is what I tried to embody. I didn't want it because I wanted them writing songs about me or something like that. No, that's what I felt I had to live up to.
Right.
When I finally matured in the military, those stripes and those rockers, I felt with a passion that you can't believe how much I felt I had to represent that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
It's
if
the
you
pride.
saw me as a
Yeah.
sergeant first class, I was everything I was is because I wanted to be the sergeant first class that everybody thought should be out
Mm-hmm.
there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what gets you the recognition and the call ups to do these other things or whatever. But going back to life maturity, I still had issues with my finances. I still had lights cut off at one point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I still sometimes would be short on gas. You know, so it's one of those things where, because I even today when people, when I talk to other leaders and senior leaders, no matter what rank or what have you, and they start talking about stuff like it turned out like I thought it would, or you know, I was prepared and
Mm-hmm.
I did that. That's so hard for me to believe, you know, because I know not just how hard the path is because we walk the same path, but I know the things you trip over weren't there when you were looking the
Right.
first time. You looked away and you fell. And I'm not saying that anybody's path should be harder. I just wish that people would be a lot more honest about um, their struggles and their successes, but also what it took really to get there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's always a sacrifice. So I mean, whether
A
it's,
lot of people
time,
won't talk about it, won't admit it. It's
relationships. I
like,
mean,
yeah,
it's always
no,
a
like,
sacrifice
yeah,
somewhere. The thing is I think we said it earlier. Is like how you come out in the end.
yeah,
You know, how you come out in the end,
yeah,
and how you handle that is what is the real, factor of was it worth it.
absolutely.
You know, if you can go back and
And only
go,
you can answer that.
yep,
Yeah,
I'll
mm,
do it over again the same way, or nope,
yeah.
wouldn't do that again. It cost too much, or I can't live with myself now. When
So
it's
let
all
me
over.
ask you this question,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna answer it too, but without being like super specific or super silly with the question.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up tomorrow, and you're just about to graduate Howard, and then of course you get married, blah blah blah, right? Because that was so
I was
close.
married before I graduated from.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
not
I got
taking
you.
away your family
I
or
got you.
anything like
Got you.
that.
Yep.
But I am saying, is there anything that you can look back on right now as yes, I would have done that differently?
No, I wouldn't,
Really?
because I would want everything to be like it is
The result.
now. I
Yeah.
would want the result now, because whatever struggles I went through or whatever I went through,
Evidently, it was needed.
I was good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
no,
would it
I'm
just
with
it helped me to be
Yeah.
who I am now,
Yeah.
which I feel is a good person, is a good man. You know, that my friends, family, people who I just meet are just like, man, that was a pleasure meeting him. You know, I
Yeah.
could go back. So I mean, I don't. I mean, it's always something that you
That's
can
what I'm
say,
saying.
man, if I would have taken this class,
That's
I
what
would
I
have done.
tried
But
to
it's like,
say.
would
Let's
that
throw
have
out
gone?
all that stuff, but
Yeah, no, but I wouldn't. I would happily, gladly have gone back into the. I mean, come into the
the
military.
gauntlet.
Yeah, I would have happily done. I mean, all of the things, my first duty assignment, all of that, I would have gladly done it the same way. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have changed any of those things.
Yeah.
Now, if I could go back with I mean, and that's anything now, just being older and being more
That was too
mature.
easy of a question.
Yeah,
That's
you mean,
too,
you would always go back and go, well, I could do this
and that's
a
why
little
I was
better. I
asking,
would
because
approach
like
this.
we ended up with who obviously we were supposed to end up with.
Mm-hmm.
We retired, and no matter how people want to write it, we were both on paper successful. The only thing I look back and wish I could have adjusted, which at the same time I am not at all saying that my life has turned to crap,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not.
but I just wish that I was more aware when I was younger, more mature in more than just the military stuff. Because Nikki will tell you this in a heartbeat, like Army Tommie was Tommie.
Mm-hmm.
Tommie don't go away, you know what I'm saying? So like when I like I told you about
Yeah.
function checks, you know, and when I'm telling you about me making decisions based off freaking regulations, you know, stuff like that. Like um, it's just I love how committed I was. I love how much I was into the regulations. I love how much I matured as a leader. I love how much uh, I didn't outrace my talent
Mm-hmm.
and competency. And what I mean by that is, whenever I was put into a job, I did that job.
Okay.
You know, yeah. When I got older, like I told you, there was when you have. I said this before to somebody else, but when you have to take a unit down range,
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing. All right, it's one thing to know that the unit you're responsible for was my units were roughly my company was roughly outside of the HHC was about between 170 and maybe 190,
Mm-hmm.
worst case scenario 200. And so it's one thing to get called up and say your unit's going to deploy in 6, 8, 12 months. That's one thing. It's another thing to start prepping them by training and overtraining by I'm talking about physically. I'm talking about their
Mm-hmm.
job. Uh,
We doing all of that months before you actually leave. Mm-hmm.
identifying what your job truly is. You know, all that stuff. That's two things. And then the third thing is trying to make sure that you're giving them enough time and awareness to take care of their family while they're here, to make things easier
Yep.
while they're deployed.
Being sensitive to that
Oh,
piece of it.
and
Yep.
you know, like I said, I didn't understand it till I had to do this. And then the final thing is when you're about to leave, and mothers and fathers and wives and brothers and
Kids.
uncles and
Yep.
kids are literally walking up to me because I have a diamond on my chest and asking me to bring back their father, bring back their son. And then they're asking you this, knowing the impossibility of it, but still feel like they have to ask you because if they don't, then they feel like they didn't do enough to get you back home. And having mothers cry when their baby boy or girl is about to go into a theater of operations that they could die in, um, and being in that moment and having to deal with that without being a jerk, without
Mm-hmm.
over promising and all that stuff. That's the fourth thing. But then the final thing is making it through that deployment and remembering everyone that asked you to do that, and then seeing one of their knucklehead out there without their uniform right. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's that the details of that and how much that messes with you emotionally and
Mm-hmm.
how much that messes with your psyche. And then the mishaps and the missteps, and then you finally come back home, and those same people are waiting to either thank you or yell at you and cry in front of you
Mm-hmm.
because you brought them back and you did everything that you said you would do, or you couldn't bring them back, and now it's my fault. And remember, I did this deployment too. You know, I was out in these
Right.
roads getting shot at. So it's just the weight of all of that, and then to do it successfully more than once is like it's just something you can't. There's nothing else I could have done on this earth that could have put me through so much stress and pressure, but also rewarded me with truly accomplishing the mission,
Mm-hmm.
which the main mission when you deploy is bringing everybody back alive. That's the main mission. And to accomplish that, it's just, ooh,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's
that's
deep.
crazy. I hope this conversation resonated with someone, whether you're in the forces right now and you're leading, or you've stepped away like we did and you're just sitting back, you know, reminiscing. We'd really like to hear your perspective. Like, what do you believe leadership actually gave you? And was it worth the cost? Leadership gave me a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride, and it allowed me to help people to be better.
Yep. Well,
Right?
that was always my goal is
Yeah.
just to make folks better
Yeah.
and to make our, you know, make our mission,
Yeah.
get our mission, do our
Absolutely.
mission, make mission.
And all that means it gave you pride, it gave you confidence. So that's all linked, right? But I do know that when you ask the question, was it worth it? That's not an easy question to answer, because anybody can say yes because you survived it, whatever. But there are people out there that are divorced. There are people out there who've had multiple suicides, either in their family or in their units. So there's a lot, and there's people that you've lost in combat. So there's a lot of ways that it couldn't be worth it, but hopefully with therapy for me and with being able to talk things out, I'm starting to see that the struggle that you go through as a leader is always worth it if the majority are put in a better situation because of you as a result
Well,
of
I
it.
mean, and you know, in your heart and mind,
Yeah.
that you're doing it for the right
Yeah.
reason. You're
Yeah.
making those decisions, and
Yeah.
that's the right one to make. And you feel that, and you know that you're not doing any
Out of
type of
spite
malicious,
yeah. But
leadership.
that's the thing though, and then the older you get as a soldier, the more you start to see like soldiers you served with 10, 15 years later, you find out they committed suicide. And then you start to say, how in the world did that happen when I thought, so that's
Well,
why I say
make
it's a never
yeah,
it's a never ending answer, but you have to make that answer for yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So please join us next time so that we can
What?
keep this conversation going, y'all.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.